Westworld has published this extensive report detailing the story of an undercover law enforcement agent who infiltrated an environmental activist community in the UK. And now, with the permission of the police department, he has been found to abuse his position of power, and he also did untold damage to the climate action movement in the UK. So let's start with some of these details. Beginning with the fact that he not only infiltrated the group, he also slept with some of these climate activists, including Kate Wilson. When Kate Wilson was 23, she got deceived into having sex with an older guy who wasn't what he appeared to be. To her, he was Mark Stone, a radical environmental activist who shared her taste in country music and her belief that capitalism is destroying the planet. He wrote poetry for her, went to her grandmother's 90th birthday party, and helped her organize a massive protest against the G8 summit in Scotland. In fact, they even lived together for nearly 2 years. And even after they lived together, they stayed in close contact for years after, right? Now, within the span of those 2 years, Stone had used Wilson to essentially become a trusted figure within the UK's activist movement, okay? And 7 years after they met, Mark Stone was actually discovered to not be Mark Stone. He was discovered to be Mark Kennedy, too lazy to change his first name, okay? Like,
well, you don't want like them to say your name and then you don't look and then they begin to wonder and they discover your secrets, so a little continuity helps.
Mark Kennedy ended up getting outed by a small group of sleuthing activists as an undercover officer working for the British state. So a few more details and I wanna get your thoughts, John. In 2003, Kennedy had been sent undercover by an elite unit in London's Metropolitan Police Service to gather intelligence on activists like Wilson. He spent 7 years living a double life. He was a fearless organizer who had a shadowy backstory as a cocaine runner, but he was also a cop with a family in Ireland. So let's keep it real. He was just a cop with a family in Ireland. He was not actually, the person.
He did have a shady history.
He definitely had a shady history. There's no question. His friends, comrades, and at least 10 other women he had sex with had no idea Kennedy was selling them out to governments and corporations that had a vested interest in keeping the country hooked on fossil fuels. So there's so much more to the story, John.
He was busy.
Oh yeah.
Some people really do rise and grind to maintain 2 lives, including 1 family, and a suite of mistresses at the same time. Let me ask you 2 serious questions. First of all, did he do anything wrong? Or is this not just his job?
He did do a lot of things wrong.
Okay, good, we can agree on that.
Yeah, okay.
So yes, no, obviously, yeah, they do this sort of thing all the time. Remember, back in the wake of 9/11, NYPD was infiltrating like Muslim student organizations and things like that.
Yes.
It's absolutely horrendous. It makes me feel a little bit better to know that it's happening across the pond as well. So that's obviously ridiculous.
Don't you love it when other countries are failing just like us? Feels great.
Exactly, yeah. There'll be nowhere left for us to go. Do you think that he chose the new last name and backstory?
I don't know.
Because it's Stone and I used to be a cocaine smuggler. That sounds like a lame cop coming up with a cool backstory.
Is there a connection with stones and cocaine?
I don't know. It's just like what's a cool name? I'm Stone. I think that's what's going on. Was the family okay with this? Like, I know that there's families, every undercover cop, a lot of them have families. They have to be okay with a certain amount of risk as well as a certain amount of potential or actual illegal acts. Do you think they knew about the living for 2 years with another woman?
They had to have known, but I like how we're trying to incriminate the family members as well.
No, I'm just wondering how this entire thing actually goes down, because I imagine when you have the conversation with your wife and say, okay, I'm going undercover, I am going to live with another woman, I'm gonna sleep with her for literally years, and I know what you're saying. what's the pro? Well, the pro is I get to take down an environmental activist organization. Like, think about the stakes there. This isn't an ISIS cell operating in London. This isn't domestic terrorism, it's environmentalists.
It's funny because when you said his family, I didn't think about his wife. I don't think he's married.
I thought he had actually family at the same time. I believe he had an actual family.
How do you trust anyone? That's like my real.
I assume this is rare, this sort of thing. I mean, there's grifters everywhere. They come into like online media and make a good name and then take it for money and stuff. But you don't expect that in environmental organizations that much.
Yes, I do. Are you kidding me? Of course.
Well, certainly at protests and things like that, definitely.
Yeah,
do you believe that Tucker Carlson will be very worried about this? That an intelligence agent was being a provocateur inside of a group? Do you think he's going to do monologues about this one?
Probably not. Probably not.
You're right.
Right. But I mean, this kind of story does help to explain why there's a lot of paranoia among most groups of leftist activists and why they spend so much time, I guess, going after each other over suspicions that like someone's not leftist enough or someone's not progressive enough. And like all of that seems to be like a virus within the leftist movement. And I can understand why. It's because leftists have had a long history of being infiltrated. And this is one of the more, in my opinion, one of the more extreme examples. So in December of 2011, Kate Wilson and 7 other women launched legal action against him. And of course, the Metropolitan Police for damage that was caused as a result of all of this. We'll get to that lawsuit in just a second. Before we do though, I thought it would be important to hear from Mr. Kennedy, who was known as Mark Stone, because he had this interview with the UK's Channel 4. And it seems as though, just pay attention to the line of questioning here, because it's not about, hey, what you did was wrong and you did this, like you hurt people, you did it on behalf of like the worst corporate interests. The line of questioning was, how do we know that the power of the P didn't persuade you to be against the fossil fuel companies? Watch.
You fell in love with several of the protesters that you were having to watch. Or that was the allegation, and that essentially you went native. Indeed, you might even have become one of them. Did you go native?
No, I didn't.
Not at all?
No.
Very difficult to fall in love with somebody and at the same time sort of deal with whether they're plotting to overthrow the state.
That's very true, and that's something which I battled with a great deal. I did have some very good friendships. I met some very amazing people and some very dedicated people and passionate people to the causes that they believed in.
You didn't ever reach a moment when you thought, when you were able to say to somebody, "Look, I love you so much, I'm going to overthrow the state with you."
Absolutely not. No.
That interview was amazing. It wasn't about like, don't you feel guilty that you've hurt all these women, that you were literally living with one of these women? No, the line of questioning is, how can we trust that you're loyal enough to the fossil fuel industry? Did you go native? Did you go native? There's some suspicion that you might have gone native.
Yeah, don't maybe it's a slang thing. If you're in the UK, don't use that expression. You've got a long history and you're really playing into it there.
Point.
Did you bring a flag when you went to their organization? Did you bring a flag? It's a terrible thing. First of all, why is he outdoors? Why are you interviewing him on a street corner? What a bunch of weirdos over there. That's the least important part, clearly. Yeah, like, bring him indoors. It's already weird enough. And that guy, what he said, like, you're totally right. The interviewer is asking interesting questions, but for all the wrong reasons.
Totally.
I'd ask the same questions, but it would be to the end that, so did you not ever feel like there was something fundamentally wrong with you? How could you be this twisted? Did you? But that's the thing. This guy said, I've met these passionate people, talented people, all this, and I did everything I could to ruin their lives and their careers and get them locked up. And then the interviewer ends with, did you ever want to also overthrow the, no, but they didn't want to do that. This guy was trying to instigate them into doing illegal things and violent
Yes,
things.
yep.
You have to do that when they're not gonna do them themselves. Now, if they do them, they're still liable for that. There's no like, oh, I got persuaded clause or whatever. But they had to be persuaded in that direction.
Right, I mean, look,
This was all a waste of time.
This is what I can't stand, and I do not agree with that practice at all, right? When some federal agent or some person representing the state infiltrates a group and then encourages them, eggs them on to carry out something, right? Whether it be a crime or some sort of bad act or bad
Overthrowing
behavior.
the US government.
That's a good example, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there could be a good legal argument that that's entrapment. Like, don't do that, right? Don't put the idea in their head. Like, if the idea stems from someone in the intelligence community or a cop, like I just don't, if you're egging them on to commit a crime, yes,
I think
you're
they're still responsible. I think that that agent is also responsible.
I agree.
They're an accomplice to the crime.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's right. I'm not being an apologist for the bad acts that are committed, but they were egged on, and that should be taken into account as well. Anyway, but let me talk about how Kate Wilson and others.
You keep almost saying Kate Winslet,
I
don't
know.
you?
Kate Winslet's
she
my
might
favorite
play
actress.
the role in the movie,
She's
but
so
she's not
good.
actually in this.
She's
he
a
didn't
national
get to her, did he?
treasure. We all know it. Okay, but let's move on. Let's move on. Kate Winslet did not want to make an appearance in this story. Sorry to bring you into it. All right, so Kate Wilson says in this effort to take legal action against him. In 2010, I received a phone call from friends in the UK who told me that this man, Mark Stone, who I'd shared my life with, never existed. The impact of that, the grief and the paranoia and the sense of shame really paralyzed me for a very, very long time. I mean, it's absolutely heartbreaking. But what we really need to know is, did he go native? Did he go native? Like, okay. Mark Kennedy, meanwhile, continued to work in defense of the fossil fuel companies. Not long after the legal case began, Kennedy updated his LinkedIn profile to say he was now a consultant for the Densys Group, a boutique risk management company that, among other assignments, has advised pipeline companies on how to deal with protests from indigenous tribes and environmental groups.
50% chance that after serving the Biden administration, Buttigieg works at that organization. Anyway, yeah, it's the whole thing is messed up. Let's just have a footnote. In 50, 75 years, when we look back, there's nothing left of Earth. We're like scrabbling over the salt flats for like the last rabbit or whatever. That there were people who were trying to warn us, trying to get us to do something about how the climate is changing. And not only did we not listen, but we actively undermined them and tried to ruin their lives.
The only good thing, I want to leave it on a somewhat happy note. It appears that the victims here, the activists, will get some justice. After nearly 10 years of court battles, a legal authority known as the Investigatory Powers Tribunal ruled last September that Wilson had suffered grievous human rights abuses at the hands of Kennedy and the police apparatus that supported him. Senior officers either knew of the relationship, chose not to know of its existence, or were incompetent and negligent, the ruling reads. So now we just have to wait for this tribunal to decide what the damages will be and what Wilson and other victims will be compensated. But I'm glad that he didn't completely get away with it. And now we all know that dude's a cop. We all know not to trust that guy.
I don't know, he's pretty persuasive, it turns out. He might be able to sway us.
Ladies, you could do better.
He's up with 11 activists in that group.
I know.
I'm just saying based on the video.
I don't know.
I don't understand it.
Okay, I was trying really
Why are you defending the cop, huh?
Trying to stay away from it.
You imperialist.
Okay.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.